Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to our feature match today. It will be our modern matchup with Living End versus Death Shadow. So the Living End deck is a combo-esque deck that on turn 3 can clear your opponent's board and put a lot of problematic creatures on your side of the board into play. And Death Shadow is a creature-based aggro deck that is actively trying to bring down its life total, so its Death Shadows can be massive. So just in line with an aggro deck, here's a turn 1 Monastery Swiftspear. You may have noticed that he took a pain off the land. It is a City of Brass. Now, Death Shadow runs City of Brass and Mana Confluence as a way to both have access to any colored mana and actively lose life, because that's where the Death Shadow deck wants to be. So the Living End player is going to go fetch up a Blood Crypt untapped and is going to cycle. Now cycling is the way that the Living End player is able to get all those creatures into his graveyard. So cycling lets you pay life in this instance, or pay 1 mana and you draw a card. So it helps the Living End player dig for land and also dig for their Cascade spell. So here's a Gitaxian Probe. Now, again, with the theme of losing life for the Death Shadows deck, Phyrexian mana is really important to that deck. It helps lose life and also pretty much have free spells with Gitaxian Probe that help you draw a card. Now, there are many other spells with Phyrexian mana, but I assume that the only other one that Death Shadow player might play is an Apostle's Blessing, which gives protection. But there's also spells just like Thoughtseize that bring down your life total as well. So after this Thoughtseize, we were able to see that there is actually 2 Living Ends in the player's hand, which is the worst place to have it. There's no real way for you to suspend Living End and have it go off and you win the game. It takes too long. And if it's in your hand, you can't cascade into it. So that's really unfortunate for the Living End player. So this is the Duodaiton. If he had drawn his Violent Outburst, which is the Cascade spell, he would be in a good position. But as it stands, with double striking Death Shadow, he's able to do quite a bit of damage in one turn. 15 damage amongst the 2 creatures, most of it being the Death Shadows. So that's very impressive. Death Shadow is normally that way. They try to kill in 1 or 2 turns instead of over a little bit with most born strategies. So sideboard wise, Living End does have access to Beast Within, which is in most Living End sideboards, because it can get rid of Rest in Peace and any other problematic permanent. With the Death Shadows player, some do have counter spells in their sideboard because they have access to any mana. More discard effects like that Thoughtseize we saw in game 1. Speaking of, here's a Thoughtseize. And they do have access to, again, Apostle's Blessing, which can give their creatures protection, since it is a creature-based aggro deck. So we see a Violent Outburst in hand, which is probably going to be the card that's going to be ripped away. Violent Outburst is their Cascade spell, so if they do not have it, there was not much you need to worry about. But Living End, again, gets creatures in the graveyard by cycling. And that's twofold advantage. It gets creatures in the graveyard, and it's going to have them draw cards. So even though that Thoughtseize ripped out a Violent Outburst, he might draw one right here through cycling, which is pretty awesome. So he's going to cycle and draw a card and go his turn. So he's going to cycle again. So the card advantage is real. As you saw, it looked like he drew that land off the cycling. So he really did not want to be a mana behind. So by being able to cycle, it really helped him stay on board. So the Death Shadow player cycled himself with his 3-wave, losing 2 life. Again, great for the Death Shadow player. And here's another Thoughtseize. So we have 2 Beasts Within, which can take care of a Death Shadow or a Monastery Sphere spell if necessary. And here's a Death Shadow. So right now, it's not that impressive. It's a 2/2. But it can get very out of hand real fast, as you saw in Game 1, being able to hit in for 13 damage. So the Living End player does have Beast Within in hand, but chooses to pass the turn. So he might be trying to get the Death Shadow player to play his pump spells and then kill the Death Shadow in response. But seeing that the Death Shadow player saw his hand with Thoughtseize and saw the Beast Within, there would be no reason for him to pump his Death Shadow into that unless he had a response. So with Apostle's Blessing bringing his life total down and giving it protection and it having double strike, with Tainted Strike, it's going to have Infect and +1/+1. So it's going to swing in for 18 poison. So not deploying that Beast Within on your turn when your opponent was tapped out ended up costing him the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this really short match. It was a aggro does what it does. It wins fast or loses slowly, I guess. I hope you guys were at the Sign in Blood Open. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you guys at GPLA. I'll be going there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment if you enjoyed it at all. If you would like something else, leave a comment. I'm open to any kind of replies. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.